All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Mercer FCA podcast, episode number 8. Mr. Justin Brett, representing Mercer Football, here with us this morning, as you were probably hearing it in the morning, but this is actually late at night as we're actually trying to film this now. But, Justin, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Mr. Bell. I'm doing great. Excited to be here.
Man, yeah, dude, it is. Man, I'm super pumped to be able to have you on. Like, I'm super pumped to, like I kind of always tell all of the athletes that, um, like, it's always exciting to hear everybody's story, to hear everybody's background, their faith journey, everything that kind of comes with that. It's always super exciting to hear. So, with that, Justin, I know you and I have talked a lot already, but man, tell everybody a little bit about where you're from and just a little bit about the home life.
All right, so I'm from Sandersville, Georgia, a little small town about an hour east of Macon, Washington County. So I grew up there. Uh, my entire life lived there. Went to Washington County High School. I bleed black and gold. Grew up in it. I have both my parents have always been really involved in my life, and then I have an older brother who's 5 years older than me. Kind of grew up going to all of his games, and then that kind of inspired me into playing also. So I always wanted to, when I was at his games, be the one out there on the field. But at the same time, I was, you know, 10 years old, so I wasn't necessarily old enough to be out there. But both of my parents, have always been involved really in my life and kind of along my journey. Both of them played college sports themselves, so they understand kind of some of the struggles that come with it, and they kind of
Sure.
pushed me in everything I've done up to this point, and kind of everything I will continue to do. So they both pushed me a lot in my everyday life.
Man, yeah, dude. Growing up in a small town like that, like I can kind of resonate with that. Like I'm from Cairo, so
Oh
South Georgia, one high school town. It's just kind of a different vibe, especially playing high school sports. So I can definitely like understand what it's like growing up in that kind of environment. Also, like I don't like your audio is kind of going in and out on that one, so I don't know if maybe hold the phone a little bit closer or something, but we'll try to work on
okay.
that as we are talking. But yeah, man. So so obviously small town life. Like you were saying, kind of having the older sibling, and having that connection, especially to the athletic world, having athletic parents as well. So so I'm assuming sports has always been a big part of your life. What was how early did you start, and like how many sports were you trying to play at one time?
I'd say I started day one. I mean, I from the time I could probably open my eyes and pick up a ball, I was doing it. So, like I said, my older brother, he was always he's my older brother, but he's smaller than I am. But that didn't keep him from uh, pushing me around a little bit when I was a kid. So I
Sure.
started playing. I mean, organized sports at probably 4. I always played. I couldn't. My parents have always told me I'm a little bit impatient, and I am. So I started playing sports a little bit early. I was playing with guys 2 years older than me in baseball. So that
Mm,
kind of, play with older people like that. I've always heard it makes your skills a little bit better. So I grew up playing, baseball, football. Those were my main 2 sports. I played basketball when I was a kid up until I got to middle school. Um, and then I was a big weightlifting guy once I got into middle school, and then the high school I was part of our weightlifting team. So I played football and
mm,
baseball all throughout middle school and high school. I played travel baseball, played all over the southeast when I was a kid. Just going every weekend, trying to play with my friends. Win tournaments and just meet new people. Um, and then, yeah, like I said, a ball's been in my hands as long as I can, pick one up and throw it. So
sure.
I've
Yeah.
always been in sports and probably will do something with sports the rest of my life.
I completely understand that, and it's sports always is a great equalizer. Like especially if you kind of grow up in that kind of household, I think it's always a common
Yeah.
ground. It's always a great conversation starter and a great way to connect with people that play the same sport or play a similar sport, or maybe played for a team that you maybe played against during high school, or any or travel ball. of that stuff kind of growing up, man. So obviously very athletic in terms of that, always around sports, always involved in sports. What about your, like the faith life? Like how early did you get involved in church or youth groups or anything like that?
So I would say, like I said, when I was a kid, I was pretty heavily involved with my family and all. And then, like the travel ball is kind of a dual-edged sword. Once my
Yeah.
brother kind of started playing travel ball, we were going every weekend with him. And then kind of when I got to the age of always playing travel ball, we kind of, slacked off, didn't get to go to church as much because we'd be gone every weekend most of the year. Um, so kind of lost my way around that age until I was kind of a younger teenager, and then kind of got to high school, late middle school, high school, and I had a great friend of mine that I'd go with him um, pretty regular when I was with him and all, and then kind
Hmm.
of later on in the high school, kind of found kind of more of a church home with my grandparents. I mean, my granddad uh, was the music director, so he was leading things and always wanting me there to be with him. And he's my best friend, so being able to spend more time with him while also being with the Lord, I mean, was just a great thing for me. So I'd say that was later middle to late high school was when I kind of tried and got my feet wet a lot more, which I should have
Hmm.
started much earlier on. But you get called to things when you need them most, and like I did. And then college is a hard thing. I'd say my freshman, sophomore year, I didn't necessarily you know stay as close to the Lord as I needed to, being in a new place. I'm only an hour from home, but it's still a new place to me. Um, Trying to battle college football while also being in class. And then, I felt like I was kind of pushing my faith off, but like I
Yeah.
finally in the last, 2 years, I've really found my groove. And then the last, 6 months have really seen just, huge conversion in my life and just
Mm.
how much change in a good way can really come from, finally devoting yourself and giving it all you've got and just pledging yourself to being better every day.
Wow. Man, oh, dude. So I cannot wait to hear the rest of that story, especially in terms of college. But man, man, super excited to be able to hear, especially what the catalyst for that change was and kind of how all of that started to happen. But okay, walk me back though, back to the the early part there, like you said, had a friend, had a close friend, kind of going to church with them, and having that steady connection, having that a solid foundation of someone else to be able to kind of invite you to church, and then someone to be able to share in those kind of relationships, at a church and everything like that. What did you really take from that, other than obviously being with a close friend and everything like that? But how did that for you help your faith grow and like start to learn about the Bible and kind of the spiritual side?
Well, like I wasn't like when I got to go to church with my best friend, I wasn't necessarily a member of his church, but seeing, how much the people of that church wanted me to be there, um, and how much they cared about me being there really meant a lot. Um,
Hmm.
you know, they, I wasn't necessarily there every Sunday, but the Sundays that
Right.
I were there, they were all saying, it's good to see you. It's great to see you. And then hearing the word, I mean, it always felt like when I was there that the word was speaking directly to me. Like it always it always felt to me like, I was the center of attention. And I mean, that feeling is unmatched. I mean, right when you're down, when you feel something and hear that word, it really just, it makes you feel so much better. And it makes you realize just how much he really is looking after your life and how he has a plan for you. So, I mean, that the people of that church, my best friend, those around me, my grandparents, my family,
Mm.
they've really, pushed me to be the best I can in all aspects of my life. But, you know, community has really, I would say, been what's helped bring me into the Lord more and more.
Wow, man. Oh, dude, that obviously really fires me up. That that one that you had that kind of feeling like at that church, just like you said, it wasn't like you were there every week, but anytime you stepped in, it's almost like you never left. Like it was that home atmosphere that I think every church body strives to get, especially for the guests coming in. And that's one thing I know for my church that we always talk about that in terms of, man, anytime you see anybody that you do not normally see at church, like go out of your way, like welcome them and make them, feel that home atmosphere that we all already feel of the church. And now, that's what Christ calls us to do, to be able to, pass that on to everybody else that we come in contact with. So, for you at such an early age to not only feel that, but be able to kind of, see that and, understand that feeling came from being at that church and, obviously set the foundation for, what you are going through right now, like the spiritual growth that you were seeing right now. So, man, okay. So as your faith is growing, as you're going through church and everything like that, what's kind of the sport schedule like once you get into like sixth, seventh, eighth grade? I know that like that, that tends to be where, people kind of stop playing the rec ball and the travel ball and stuff, maybe travel ball like a little bit here and there, but really start playing for the school. And, obviously being from a, small town like that, where everybody's kind of feeding into that one high school, what were the sports like then?
Well, as I got into middle school, when I was in sixth grade, my brother was a junior in high school. In seventh grade, he was a senior. So, I mean, I grew up, I played football at our middle school, of course. I played football both ways as much as I could in middle school as a sixth and seventh grader. And I also played baseball pretty heavily still. Played some travel ball back then. That was kind of around the age I kind of stopped. Mm-hmm. But, when I wasn't at my games or my practices, I was always around him and his buddies, his teammates. Like I said, I've always been around my high school and their sports. I was a ball boy and water boy for our high school team.
I was just about to ask that. Yeah, absolutely.
So my back then, when my brother was there, they were a really good team. Got to go to couple state championships and all. And they had a great group of guys and players that were his age and even older than him that went on to college to play sports, play football. And they were just like they were like superstars in my eyes back then. They might as well have been NFL athletes to me at those ages, and then being around them as a water boy and a ball boy even inspired me even more, people think it's hilarious, but like one of them giving me a pair of their gloves after a game as a high schooler, like it's, I put them up in my room like it's, a signed football from a professional player.
That's right.
Those guys, just they pushed me, and like I still hear from them now. Most of them aren't playing anymore. They've grown up. They're grown, men, and they're reaching out to me, asking me how I'm doing and how proud they are of me being there one day. And they always told me I would be, and it always felt good. It still feels good when you hear from guys that were once, your idols, who you wanted to be. It just feels great hearing from them. So like middle school was a time, when I figured out what I wanted to do with sports. Like I figured out, I love baseball. I was going to play baseball as much as I could. I was not as good at baseball as I was at football. I was, pretty decent football player. So I played baseball. I loved it. I had more friends probably that I grew up playing baseball with than I did football. But like I said, I enjoyed both of them so much that just I wanted to be around it all the time. Eat, sleep, breathe. Summers I was playing baseball. End of summer I was getting ready for football. Football season, playing. After football season, straight into baseball, and then repeat the cycle. So then by the time I got to middle school, I was working out, lifting, going to high school practices as an eighth grader. So it really got me to where I am. I would say middle school really set me up for great success in high school.
Man, dude, that takes me back, man, because it was the same thing. Like looking at that, there was a run at Cairo where we went to the semifinals 3 years in a row, and it was my sixth, seventh, and eighth grade year. So, like being, seeing just like you, like seeing those guys, it was like, man, these guys are legends. Like they are the hardest
Yeah.
hitting group of guys that ever, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you just like the total everything just grows in your mind. Like it's like 100, like these, like this is, like the most speed that I've ever seen, the biggest guys I've ever seen. Like no one hits harder than these guys. And, so just being able to see that though, and knowing that, man, like I'm going to be able to play there one day. Like I'm going to be able to put on one of those jerseys and play on that field that I've seen these guys tear it up, so many years now. Man, there's just something special about that. And that's, not to go like too much into high school football, but, that's something that, obviously like my last 15 years, I've been here at Houston County. We have 5 different high schools here. And I know there's counties with way more, high schools, but knowing that, these guys, like there's a lot of them that play for a high school, but they may have played at like the middle school somewhere else. Like they were going to feed into a different high school. And so there's just something different about growing up knowing 100% I'm going to play for that high school. Like I'm going to be a part of that team. And man, it's so special, for a young athlete, male or female, like for the females too, like to be able to see that and especially when when that team is good and they are having success and knowing that, man, yeah. And like, like a Friday night, the entire town shuts down to go watch them play. Like it's so special. It's so special.
All-time high school football is just people don't understand that have never been a part of it. It is bleed those colors to the day you die is how I've always felt.
100%. Like so, my wife is from Hollywood, Florida. She went to Saint Thomas Aquinas, who you see play on like you see play on TV all the time. Yeah. And she played softball for them, won state championship and everything. And obviously, I always knew about the school and all the, future greats that played there and, everything like that. And so we went back a couple years ago. We were down around Thanksgiving and they were in like the playoffs. It was like the third round of the playoffs, and they were playing at home. And I was like, yeah, like there was a chance for us to go. So I was like, all right, man, like I get to experience a St. Thomas game. And I am not gonna lie, I am not like downplaying, but as soon as I was there, I was like, this is it. Like this is like it blew me away. I was expecting so much more, but I was like, man, we have more than this. Like just on a like a week 3 of the season, it feels like it's like, man, I was expecting so much, like knowing that like all the national talent that comes from here. So I mean, it's just so much different, in that small town atmosphere and knowing everybody, like going out to eat on the weekends and people are talking to you. Like I tell people this all the time, like we always wore like the Letterman jacket, like you always had it on because everybody knew who you were, everybody knew your number, like they could tell you your stats, like they would recall plays from the week before, and it was just so special to be around that. So, like again, I don't want to get too much into high school football. We can talk for hours on this, but right there with you, man, knowing that kind of lifestyle, man, it's awesome.
Yeah. There's just it's still going out to eat and people knowing you by your name and your number is just unmatched.
Man. Something special about it, 100%. So with that, all right. So like you finally get up to high school and like okay, oh no, this is like what I was going to ask you because being a football player and like you said, playing like in 8th grade, already starting to kind of practice with like the varsity and like kind of being up there with them. And I think it's something every football player kind of always recalls and can place it back. What was your welcome to high school football moment?
Okay, so we had a guy, his name is Preston Daniels. He was a senior when I was a freshman. So he went on to play at Kennesaw State. He was a linebacker and fullback. I'm talking about like 6 foot, 240, 250, just massive guy, strongest guy on our team, just huge. I was a ninth grader. I was a backup on varsity and kind of, I was one of our main JV players back up on varsity. So I'd always given them a look.
Yeah.
He hit me one day in practice, and it was like, whew, I don't know if I'm cut out for this. And it was, whew. I mean, when I was a freshman, I had guys, he played at Kennesaw State. He's done now, but one of my really good friends, and, he kind of took me under his wing. His name's Jabari Brooks. He's a senior lineman playing at UCF. So he kind of, he played defensive line also in high school. So blocking him was a welcome to high school. You better figure it out moment for sure.
Man, I love it, dude, because I think every football player always knows. They always know that first hit where it's like, man, this is it. Like, I'm here now, baby. Oh, man, I love it. All right, so like high school, man, tell me a little bit about that. Obviously, playing sports, like I said, playing baseball, and still, obviously, like on the football team and everything, doing very well with athletics. Were you still at that same church? Like, what was kind of the church life like?
Yeah, so like I said, my freshman year, kind of sophomore year, kind of when I was with my friend going, before I could drive really. So it was mostly like here and there, going to church and all. And then once I became able to, I started being able to drive, it was, hey, let's go to church this weekend. I was going. And then kind of, like I said, my granddad kind of bringing me in, wanting me to go to church with him. I had some, great family friends that were always taking me, getting me involved. And it was hard, don't get me wrong, because high school, you have so much on your plate, and especially with the way I was with sports, it was hard. Going back, you always, hindsight's always 2020. I wish I could have been more involved, in my faith, in churches, and finding a church or home earlier. But the timing is never wrong. So it hit me when it hit me, and I haven't looked back since. Just high school, near the end of high school, all the stress of life started kind of weighing on me, and it got me to a place where there's just, I mean, people know how it is. Everybody's had those down times, and I mean, it became Sunday was the day that I could be happy. I could go hear the word and just feel better about myself and feel better about the week to come. Man,
oh man, that's all. So was there a did y'all have FCA, or what? Was there anything inside of the school for like a Bible, any kind of like a Bible study or anything?
One of the biggest things that really meant a lot to me was we had a kind of our team chaplain. He my freshman and sophomore year, every Thursday we would have a team devotional. So every Thursday night, a different church around the county would service food. So they would bring out, pasta, whatever it may be that week. And he would always bring in a speaker. So, I mean, we've had speakers from Mark Rick to, Herschel Walker, to people around our community that mean a lot. He brought in the old team chaplain that was at Georgia for a while and at Miami. It was always good on Thursday nights. We always got to hear, somebody else's story. It may be a former player that played at my high school that came back and talked to us. And then also a lot of times he would bring in groups of people that were Christian outreach programs that were, just involved in our community and just kind of all around the state, to bring in some of those people who've had hard times in their lives and are dealing with that have hard times. And they would always bring people, and just hearing those testimonies on Thursday nights were amazing. I mean, you just, those testimonies made you feel so blessed to be able to wake up the next day and go play a football game.
Man, amen, dude. Yeah. Like again, like so many similarities. Same thing for me, like, here in our team chaplain, and he's still the team chaplain at Cairo, and so he'll still post on Facebook, and I'm still all in. Like, anytime I see him talking, I'm still clicking in. I am watching live, and I am because again, like, it means so much to you, and like so many strong emotions and strong just like everything about it, like, being there with your team, with your boys, and hearing the word, or, hearing a, life-changing testimony from somebody else. Man, you can always recall those moments in your life every time.
And the kind of main team chaplain that was there my freshman and sophomore year actually passed away during COVID. So it was hard, my junior and senior year, thinking about how it was going to be. But we had another guy step up, and he was kind of one of the guys that was there helping him all the time. He stepped up and took it over. And, I was so grateful for them. They did a great job my junior and senior year. We all thought it would kind of go downhill, but I mean, they continued bringing in those great speakers and just making waves throughout our team. I mean, there were guys on our team that, probably had never really heard the word or been a part of it. And that was just like them being able to hear it and keeping it going. I mean, I want to, when I'm done, going to college, no matter what I do, I mean, I want to be able to go back and do that same thing for some of those guys, speak to those guys. So, I mean, I just think that's a huge part of of kind of my life and high school for sure.
Man, to be able to go back and give back, man, 100%. And I know we talked about this last week or the week before, so I even looked it up today, and I found the article, Perry overcomes turnovers to edge Washington County. I found the article. We were talking, obviously, like I called games down in Perry, and back in the, I think the 2021 season, like October 8th is when this article came out. So I'm sure it came out right after the game was over. Washington County came to Herb St. John Stadium. So I actually saw you play in high school. I was calling the game to be able to see you there. And obviously,
my senior year, that was one of my best games, and it was actually awesome because, like we talked about, like I've told you, I have a lot of family in that area. So people that had they don't necessarily make the drive down to see me play when we're playing at home, but that's the first time I'd ever played over there, and they were all able to come out and see me play for the first time. That was awesome.
Yeah, man, what a game. Yeah, I was just kind of reading back through everything that happened. Cameron Marshall with a big pick six to kind of seal it there at the end, and so, oh man, what a great time, and be able to have that kind of connection.
We let slip away, but it was for sure a great game.
Yeah, because y'all were either ranked high or I feel like going into that game, we were like, man, I mean, these guys can play. Like, this is going to be a tough game, even though we're playing at home.
We had some players, and then injuries are going to happen, but we came out in the first half, and our game plan, the first half, it worked. It was
spot on. Yeah.
Got a good lead, and it was like, man, this guy got hurt. Oh, how are we gonna, what are we now? But it went great. I mean, it was a great game. Of course, we got edged out in the end, but I mean, what can you do? Here and there, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, man. Oh man, that's so awesome to be able to have that. So, all right. So with that, so what was recruiting like? Like you were saying, still trying to play baseball as well. Like, was there still kind of an outside chance for you of thinking of taking that route into college, or was it always on the gridiron?
I mean, in the back of my mind, it was always on the gridiron. My dad played college football, so I grew up going back and seeing his friends and going to games, going on the field. So I mean, I always wanted to play college football, and kind of after my sophomore years when I started taking it a little more serious. About the time COVID hit is kind of when I got more serious with camps and showcases and reaching out to coaches and all. It's kind of when I got really involved in it. And then my junior and senior year, it was just play the best I can in football to be able to have that option, but also keep my grades. Big thing. My mom's a teacher, so she was always on me about my grades, because she always said, if it comes down to you and another guy in recruiting, coach is going to pick the one that's got the grades. So, I mean, that was always something really big to me. And then, baseball, I had looks and I had, the chance, but it was never going to be something that I could devote all of my time to, quite like football. I always tell people, baseball was the sport I played to have fun. Football was the sport I played more as a business. I still have fun playing football. Don't get me wrong. Like it's the most fun I have, but I could always be a little bit more serious and, locked in at football. So that kind of got me really my junior year of when I kind of started, pushing towards that a lot more, and then started going on visits, getting offers and all. And really I didn't have, very big offers or anything my senior year. And kind of after the season, didn't know where I was going to go. I knew I wanted to play football. I had the offers to smaller schools, didn't know what I wanted to do. And then kind of like over Christmas break, still playing in some all-star games and all. And I was very close to committing to a smaller school. Was going to go there. It was a great school. I loved the coaches. I loved the people. Was going to go there. And then, one of their coaches that really recruited me left and came to Mercer. And I mean, Mercer had been a place, I grew up an hour from here. So I remember when they brought football back, I came to baseball games as a kid. I grew up coming here, seeing, people from my school come here and play different sports, coming to Macon. So, I mean, it was a place I always, really wanted to go. I loved the place, knowing that maybe I don't have the skill, talent to go play at one of these big FBS programs like Georgia, those kind of schools. But Mercer was a place academically and, athletically that I really saw myself fitting in.
Sure.
And I could get in touch with them. Like I could not find a way to, get on their radar or anything. And then that coach left and came here. And he is one of, I owe a lot to him. He cared so much about me and wanted me so badly to play for him that he brought me, he offered me once he got to Mercer.
Wow.
So, my senior year, and it ended, I didn't know where I was going, what I was going to be doing. I'm playing in these all-star games, hoping that I get a chance out of it. And then that happens. And it was like, it was one of the best moments of my life, when he made me that phone call. So, I basically committed on the spot. I had already gotten into Mercer academically. I was close enough to home that I can go home and my people can come see me. But at the same time, I'm farther enough away that I can get a life of my own and, figure things out. So my recruiting journey was definitely one of ups and downs, and then, a lot right at the end. And it was like, I knew this was my place, and I owe so much back to this great school.
Man, well, just like you said earlier, man, God's timing always showing up. So, man, like who's to say, if any of those other schools would have offered you, or any of those other places that you were kind of looking at, hoping that an offer comes or anything like that. And then, all of a sudden right there at the end, here comes the one that you were, deep down really wanting, trying to get in touch with. And, just like you said, super close to home. So still be able to, have the family be able to come and see you, have the friends come and see you, but still far enough away to still be on your own. So, all right. So, with that, this is always my next question to all the athletes. What was it like the day that you were dropped off and you're on the campus all by yourself?
So, it was, weird because I've always been, at home with my parents, or had my brother or somebody around, but it was, it was humbling because you're no longer like in high school. I always felt like, as an athlete and somebody that's going to go play, you're kind of looked at more as, well, he's good, blah, blah, blah. Well, once you get to college as a freshman, it's, oh, you're a freshman. Like you got to fall in line. You know what I mean? But I had a great group of guys when I got here, older guys that were juniors and seniors that, took me in under their wings and really, really have made the man I am today and player. They're some of my best friends, and they'll be some of my best friends to the day I die. And they took me in and showed me college and how you get through and how you manage your time, how you manage football at school and friends and social life. And like, they just some of my best friends. And also like the group of guys I came in with, I have 5 or 6 best friends that are same age as me. They've been here my entire career, our entire careers. And they'll be my brothers to the die. They'll be the guys I talk to every day, probably for the rest of my life. We've all, been here able to push ourselves, push each other, and it means so much. So when my parents dropped me off, it was, I didn't know all of them, and it was it was scary at first. You don't know what your future holds, but those relationships and those friendships, they have made college, 10 times better than it would have ever been without them. So that's kind of like, I've had some great friends and mentors at this school that, I owe so much back to.
Man, oh man, that's so awesome to hear, man. Because I always love hearing, kind of those first moments on the campus, that first like realization that, okay, like I'm an adult, like here we are. Like it's kind of, like a lot like, okay, your first hit on the football field for high school, and now all of a sudden this is your first, stepping onto that college campus. Now, you're kind of on your own, like you're by yourself, and it's time to kind of try to pave your own way, find your own path here. Not only in the university, but also on the football team, to try to figure out my way and my role, and kind of a little bit of that. So now, obviously, like, you've been a part of the program now since then. So man, you've been kind of riding the high, kind of on that, like the big build that the team has been doing the last couple of years, and obviously winning like the conference last year. How have you grown as an athlete, but also as a individual while, during your time here?
Oh, so I feel like I've grown so much. I came in as a freshman who, like we talked about these small town high schools, I felt like I was kind of one of the guys. Like I was, felt like I was one of the star players. And then you get to college and you're, you're a scout team guy. You're given,
Right.
And it's hard. It's really hard going from senior year of high school being, the guy that the coaches are looking at when you need a big play, to being a guy that's not even making travel roster. My freshman year, I didn't get to dress a single game. It was, we were a very good team. We had a lot of older guys, so I didn't make the travel roster, and that kind of, it hurt me pretty bad. It challenged me to my core of being a football player. Of what am I going out there every day and getting hit for? And I didn't feel like I was getting nothing out of it. But like I said, those older guys that I had a part of my life, and they really, paved the way. They showed me that there is, everybody on our team has a purpose, and everybody, you have a purpose in helping the team, and it may be in a way that you don't even realize. And, I would really say, my first 2 years of being on that scout team, being one of those guys that is really only helping the starters get better, like they will be those experiences will be something I hold on to for the rest of my life. Wow. And then like last year and last year I had a whole new coaching staff. I still had a lot of my same friends and, teammates here, and we knew we were going to be a good team, but it was hard, with the new coaching staff, of believing and falling in. And we did it remarkably. Winning the first conference title in school history was insane. Coach's first year. And then, didn't know if I was going to come back for another year, just from, a graduation standpoint and everything. And then, just coming back, it's crazy. Just, how good we are again this year. Right. It's this journey has changed me so much on the football field, but it's also like you asked about off the field. I've learned so many key values that I'll take with me the rest of my life, just from being a student athlete, of understanding how you have to manage your time, how you have to manage your stress.
Yeah.
I was somebody in high school who didn't, I was a very good student, but I didn't have to try. I didn't really put in a whole lot of effort into my academics, just because, I was in classes where I didn't feel like I was challenged a wole lot. But once you get to college, it's a whole different story. So I've really changed in understanding how I have to work hard every day on the field to be able to be the best player and best teammate I can be. But even more off the field, I've learned how you have to, set yourself up by understanding, like, how this stuff has to be done, and the only way you can do it is to the best of your abilities, or you're never going to be successful in what you're going to do. And I have great mentors that are professors and coaches that have really showed that to me and shown how to do that in the best way possible. So I've really grown, and I would say, in my time management skills, and just, understanding stress and being able to overcome that stress while also doing stuff to the best of your abilities.
Man, that is, well, a lot of, just growing up that, that obviously, like, being a dad now and, having 3 kids, and obviously we're, not close to college yet, only in 4th grade is the oldest, but, knowing that that's, the eventual outcome, and just knowing that, man, like, one day you're going to have to drop them off, and you're going to have to trust that they have all the knowledge and wisdom that they need to be able to make these choices. And, but, dude, to be able to hear your story, and to be able to hear your time of, struggling at the beginning, but still figuring it out on the run, having to kind of, come up with stuff like as you are still trying to be a student athlete at the same time is very, just very touching. And, be able to hear your story like that. And so you had kind of talked about this at the very beginning, but you said, like, your last 6 months, like, you feel like that's where you're really growing now. You're really, not only growing as a person, but growing closer to God and having that, like, relationship now with Him. Tell us about that, man. How did that kind of start? What was kind of like the catalyst for that, and how has it been?
Just I graduated in May. And like I said earlier, I wasn't sure if I was going to come back this year. I didn't know if I wanted to play another year of college football. I wanted to get my, MBA, my master's degree, but I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to play football and do everything. And, praying to just my family, my friends, what they thought, and kind of how I felt. I finally decided that I wanted to, like I wanted, I never would get this opportunity again in my life if I gave it up now. So deciding to come back was something that, I really, it took me a while, and I struggled with for a while, because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was trying to make sense of my own understanding of plans, and finally realizing, I have to put my trust in God's plan, and, that He's not going to steer me in the wrong direction. And, once I finally came to that realization, understanding that by trusting Him, He'll bless us. I mean, it really, changed a lot in my life. And then recently, I'd say in the last 3 months, I decided to come back, put all my efforts, was at the best spot in my athletic football career, pushing for a starting role, and, an injury happens. I broke my leg, that messed up my ankle. So having to have surgery, still recovering now, it was hard. That time was definitely the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, with that, and, changes around my life, just really, shook me to my core of, why me, why did I do all of this? Why did I push myself to be the best player and, student I can be, and come back for another year, and then I get hurt, before the season even starts. And then, I've had, it was, probably one of the lowest points in my life of not knowing what tomorrow's going to look like. Didn't know if I was ever going to be able to play again, anything like that. And I was in a bad spot. And I had a couple of teammates. I mean, Micah and Kendall, they've been on the podcast before. They came to me, and they were like, "Hey, come with us to this. Hey, come with us to that." And just, they have inspired me and pushed me to be one of the best people I can be, and trust this recovery journey and Him. And, I was at a low point in my life, and found that when I was broken the most, he was getting closer to me, even then, when I didn't feel like I deserved it or when I needed it. And when I felt like I was, doubting Him and doubting the plans that He had for me, he stepped up, and He's made my life 10 times better than it ever was. I mean,
Wow.
Nobody wants to get hurt. I mean, I wish I could play every Saturday with my brothers out there, and who knows, by the end of the year, hopefully I can. But this injury and, you know, some of the things that have happened in my life have been something that I would never, you know, I wouldn't change, because they brought me closer to him and my faith journey.
Wow.
And they will be a part of my testimony for the rest of my life. I mean, it's something that people, you know, regular people that have never played never played sports and never really been around athletics, it doesn't say an injury like that may not sound very important to them, but it's something that, you know, when you're an athlete, it'll shake you to your core and make you rethink things of, you know, why did I do this in the first place? You know, did I make the wrong decision? Should I have, you know, been going when I had the chance? And then you feel like you're letting your team down because of things you can't control. One of the biggest things when this year, when FCA kind of started, I was in there, and every week it was something, what are you struggling with? And it was patience. It's something I've, like I said earlier, I've always struggled with, and being patient now in my recovery journey, and knowing that God's plan is way better than mine and way stronger, and he's going to lead me down the right path. I found a verse, you know, a couple months ago that has really stuck out to me. It's Psalms 147:3. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. So taking that and, you know, understanding that, you know, even when you're at your lowest point, like I was, he healed me. He's healing me every day. He made me realize, you know, there are more important things in life than sports. But at the same time, he made me realize how grateful I have been to be able to do this game and have the people around me that I have around me, and that are pushing me every day in my faith journey. And just, you know, I can't get enough of it. It's, you know, I mean, once you devote your life to him and kind of lean into him full force, it's amazing how much he can change it.
Gosh, man. Amen, dude. Wow. Man, so so touching to be able to hear that, and hear, man, even as far as you have already come in your journey, but then even the last couple months, even further, almost kind of double time in, you know, with everything that happens. And, you know, being a football player, you hear this all the time. Like, how are you going to handle adversity? Like, how are you going to handle it whenever something bad happens? Like, we hear that all the time, no matter what sport it is. If you're the athlete or if you're the coach, like, how are you going to handle it? And, you know, that's, you know, something that, you know, like, you try to drill during like the practice time, like making bad stuff happen, getting people riled up, and like trying to tap into those kind of emotions that, you know, are going to happen during game time. And man, it's like, this is why, like, I always tell it, you know, every time I like talk to the team or anything, like, man, the Bible is all about this. Like, the Bible has this all over it. Like, this is 100% what the Bible is about. And, you know, being able to fight through those times where, you know, you're questioning stuff, you're like doubting yourself, like the confidence level is shot, and you're trying to find your place. Like, what am I doing? And I mean, just like you said, like, you like find one verse, like one simple verse, and it can change everything, man. Because it is, man, God's breathed word straight to us. And knowing that, man, he is going to find a way to be able to just put one verse in our life, and it can completely make us take a 180, like change us in the opposite direction, and get us going back to following him in all things, like in all things, not just personal life, not just the athletic field, but in all things, like chasing after him and his glory. And man, so dude, I get so fired up to be able to hear, you know, everybody's story, especially from the athletic side, because it's so, you know, you just got so much going on. You got, you know, not only the athletic side, but then also the school life, and trying to figure everything out, and then trying to deal with injuries, and, you know, everything that comes with it. It is, man, I think there's a lot of people that are going to get a lot out of this story, and like your testimony with this. And so, man, my next question, man, what's your favorite book of the Bible? What's your favorite story in the Bible? Who's your favorite person in the Bible?
I've really, you know, it's funny, in FCA we've been kind of hitting on it lately. The book of John's probably one of my favorites.
Come on.
You know, John is a book that you can find so many lessons out of in so many different ways, at different points of your life, whether you're in a good place, a bad place, somewhere you don't want to be. It's a book that is just, I mean, I have it booked. I have it saved in my Bible pretty much, a direct quote from John at all the time, like all times. John's definitely one of my favorites. I would say, one of my favorite characters, I'd say, is David. There's actually a show I've been watching. It's called House of David. It's not necessarily,
man, come on.
it's not necessarily 100% accurate, but it's one of my favorite shows. It just shows like, stepping up and, being somebody that nobody's expecting, and then, taking down a giant, like,
come on.
Just, I mean, it's probably my favorite story of the Bible. Just, it's awesome to me. Like you can use it in so many places of your life to motivate you and just, wake you up and realize, anybody can do it. So that's what I would say. Right now, Psalms 147:3 is probably, it's a verse that's, like I said, it's weighing on my heart pretty much heavy all the time. Being injured and being somebody that's trying to come back right now and, facing some of the things I've faced, just it reading it over and over and over again just seemed to make my day better every time.
Yeah. Man, dude. Oh man. Like, so like you can't go wrong trying to pick David as your favorite person in the Bible, man. He's got the warrior side, he's got the soft side, he's got, learning from his mistakes, but then total repentance back to God. Like there's so many stories in, the life of David. And even on my weight, like the singlet I wear during competition, I have 1 Samuel 17:32 like on my leg, which is don't worry about this Philistine, I'll go fight him. And I mean, come on, like, I mean, how much more gladiator can you be than that? Like, man. So I always love it whenever somebody picks David, because they're like, there's so much we can learn from him and his entire story, his entire testimony of everything that he went through. But still seeking after God's own heart. Like that was, why he was chosen, and so much righteousness from him. But still, like, he still had his faults. Like he had
issues,
battle through adversity and his own, his own issues, his own selfishness and everything that comes with it. But still, total repentance, going back to God, and God was there with open arms, man. Like, how much more, can we learn from that? Like, that is 100% what God wants us to do. So, man, Justin, this has been an awesome podcast, dude. Thank you, man. Thank you so much for joining us, man. What an incredible story. Just incredible testimony. Obviously, having that, same kind of mindset growing up in a small town and the one high school, and, everything with the athletic side, but then hearing your journey, especially these last couple of months, and seeing you, with FCA with us every week, and, man, speaking up, and like, I can hear you over there in the groups talking, and, not shying away from your own struggles and everything like that, like you said, like, especially early on. I know everybody else doesn't realize, but he had the broken leg, and so he's got a small little scooter that he has to keep his leg on. And so you can imagine him riding around campus, which the campus of Mercer has all kind of hills on it. So, you would talk about it like, dude, you're just constantly doing this with one leg, trying to, pull yourself around, and it's got to be frustrating. Like so I think people can kind of realize, like you said, that's when the doubt starts creeping in as you're going up those hills. Like, why? Like, I could be already in a job making money by that. Like, what if I do it? But man, obviously God had a plan for you, man. And so, super, super thankful to be able to hear your story. And now, for everyone else that has been following the journey, obviously episode 8 for us here on the podcast, but we are still, we are doing our campaign pledge here, where we're looking for now 11 families want to come on and pledge to give $40 a month. And so we have it, showing up there. You can go to my.fca.org, type in Bud Pierce, type in Mercer FCA. Any of that'll pop up. You'll see my like the profile and everything will pop up there. You can give to it there, sign up, man. It's super easy, very user friendly. The QR code is there, or you can just go to the go to that site and be able to type in to be able to give $40 a month to everything that we're doing on the campus of just on the campus with everything. And so Justin kind of knows, like, we like feel like we've got a pretty good stronghold on the football team now. Like, we're kind of in there a lot, and there's a lot of football players obviously coming to the FCA huddle on Wednesday night, and man, it's slowly growing out to all the other teams, like the lacrosse team, like the basketball teams I've been talking to a lot with. Soccer's coming in, volleyball, and everything else. So it's definitely growing. So we started with 12 families. We're down to 11. So we like 11 families that would like to give to this cause, to this very worthy mission of what we're doing on the campus. It 100% goes back to the students and the coaches that are being served there. So please pray about that, and please give to that. All the websites and links are all there. And so hopefully we can keep this thing moving, man, because God is definitely moving on the campus.
100%. He's moving through our teams like never before.
Well, Justin, I would love to keep talking football with you, man. We might have to keep set up another like a football Friday night. Start doing game recaps of all the games on each Friday night. Man, that would be awesome. But okay, guys, hey, thank y'all once again joining us. This is the Mercer FCA podcast every Wednesday morning, 8 a.m. Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Type it in, it'll pop up. Like, subscribe it, share it, and pray about giving to the ministry. And we will see everyone next Wednesday, 8 a.m. here on the podcast.